All right, guys, what is going on? In this video, we're going to be looking at STEPN, and we're going to be looking at if this is a Ponzi, if this is sustainable, and if you should become a part of it. And we're going to take a deep dive into all that. So what is STEPN? Basically, it's a Web3 lifestyle app. It encourages you to walk. It's easy, just 10 minutes a day if you have one pair of sneakers, and you can earn a significant amount of money. Now, how much can you earn? Well, just a little while ago, STEPN, the GST token was about at $9 at the peak of the market just a little while ago, and also because of being listed on Coinbase. So just for sake of example, I'm going to tell you how much I made on STEPN yesterday. And I made 34.01 GST, which is about $100. And if this were higher, as it was a little while ago, as you can see, just even let's go 14 days ago. So now we're here at 2.89, but just a little while ago, it was at almost $5. Let's go back a little bit further to here, a peak of just about $9 just back in April, about a month ago. So if it were that, let's just take a calculator here and take a look at what that would be. Let's just call it, 6 times 34.01, just to be a little bit conservative. So that's about $200 in a single day. And this is liquid. So you could sell this on a different exchange. It's listed on certain exchanges here. KuCoin is one that I recommend. Coinbase, I mentioned, you can sell it on, and you can sell it back into stablecoin or USDC. Now you see that the trading volume on Coinbase is a little bit low. And obviously, you're going to have tighter spreads when there is more volume. And that's why you can see that the spread on Coinbase is significantly higher than some of these other ones. And I mean, with Coinbase, you'd kind of expect a higher spread anyhow, because they're more for just mom and pop investors. So the question is this a Ponzi? Well, first off, to get started, I actually put in, you need to buy a pair of shoes, and you buy the pair of shoes on Solana. Right now, the floor is about 11 Solana. So you're looking at about $600 to get started in this. When I started, it was higher. So we're going to look at if this makes sense and if it's going to be sustainable. As you can see, there are people here talking on Twitter about whether it's a Ponzi. So easy. I wonder how long this Ponzi will work. He woke up and makes $100 walking his dog, that sort of thing. There are people that are convinced that it is, and there are always going to be people like that. STEPN is the healthiest Ponzi I've ever joined. I've walked 7.5 kilometers in the last week that I would have sat at my desk. Incredible how a small incentive like that nudges healthy behavior. And I've experienced the same thing myself. There have been a couple days where maybe I might not have done a walk and not done maybe any exercise just because things are busy or whatever. And then I'm like, well, if I'm going to make $100, I might as well go on a 10-minute walk. So that's the thing. Now, one of the reasons that I want to discuss, and a lot of people are curious about, is about the activation codes. Okay, so you do need to have an activation code to get into STEPN. So even after you create your account on the app, you're going to see something like this, and it's going to ask for an activation code. And those activation codes are very difficult to come by. And it's that exclusivity that's one of the things that's keeping this, the price where it is. Okay, if everyone could just come in and buy the shoes, that would be not a good thing in terms of the long-term value of STEPN. And you can see here, I just did a search for this, but very recent articles here talking about the trending STEPN coin, pulling into a GST into the top trending list in terms of investors. So there's some really interesting things going on. So the tokenomics with STEPN is they really have two coins. Okay, they have the GST, okay, the green Satoshi token, and this at number 227 rank is has no cap. So there is an unlimited supply of this coin. And that's pretty interesting because there's not many unlimited coins that have such a high rank. The other coin that's associated with this is their governance token, GMT. And this coin does have a max supply and it's deflationary, and it's intended to be deflationary like Bitcoin. So there's going to be a halving event, and that will keep things in line. So how does STEPN work? Well, I'll just show you here in the let's go to the light paper real quick. So basically you walk around in these shoes and you buy the shoes, and when you walk, you make money. Okay, so there's 4 types of different shoes here that you can use, and based on how fast you're going, that will depend on which type of shoe that you want to buy. Okay, so here's the token: GST unlimited supply, GMT a total supply of that. So you'll buy it. There's also going to be renting, which is pretty interesting. You could have these shoes, rent them, have someone else do the exercise, and you get paid to do that, and you can swap it and keep it in there. So one of the things that's keeping this sustainable is the burning, right? So they have burning mechanisms for people to basically use up these tokens, because here's the problem with STEPN or any of these other things. If you have an unlimited supply of tokens and you give them out when people keep winning, where's that value coming from? And that's the real question with tokenomics. So they say here, this is the STEPN official Medium page, and basically, something that prints money. And so that's what people think of when they think play to earn, because where does this money come from? So it's interesting to think about. And tokenomics refers to the economics of a crypto token. So what determines the value of it? Does it make sense, right? So basically, the main thing that you want to think of when it comes to tokens is the supply and increasing supply. Okay, and if there is no cap on a certain cryptocurrency, and the company just keeps making more of it, then the value of each of those tokens becomes less over time. And if you look at something like Axie Infinity, this is their unlimited token, total supply, unlimited circulating supply, huge numbers here. And it's gone down to 0.006 of a cent. And that's the price of it. And that's what people are making when they're, in this ecosystem. And if you just even look at the last 180 days, you can see that there has been a steep decline. Let's look at the max chart here. So there was a peak here of about 36 cents back in July, and it has gone down significantly since then. And one of the reasons is because it was sustaining these high prices here when there was a lot of new players coming into the game. So people spending money in the marketplace, bringing real assets to trade into the game. And since then, it's been not going in that direction. So that's one thing to keep in mind. Also, with regard to demand, people selling their tokens will cause the price to drop. And when you look at things like SLP, or let's look at Vigorous in terms of Pegaxy, the same thing is going to happen, even though look at this coin. It's way down right now. In the last year, we can look at where this has been, from 21 cents down to, less than a penny, a 99.9% decrease. And one of the problems with this, and I know that Pegaxy has tried to implement burning mechanisms where you can upgrade your Pegas and all that kind of stuff. But the problem is there's too much selling demand. So what do I mean by that? Well, these players, let's say most of the scholars in these games, let's say Pegaxy or Axie Infinity, a lot of the players are in the Philippines or third world countries. And they are selling that no matter what because they're trying to get the money for the groceries. So there's going to be intense selling pressure. They basically cash out all of their funds every week or every month and sell it no matter what the market price is. And that creates an intense selling pressure. And so that's one of the problems with those types of games. And that obviously what causes the price to drop. So demand for the token can be driven by strong use cases, people buying it because they think it's going to increase in the future, and that sort of thing. So another factor to consider that they bring up here in poor token economics is large quantities allocated to whales, private investors that, you got in early, here's a bunch of tokens, and then they can just sell it on the open market without creating a lot of value. So when it comes to STEPN, they have GST and GMT, and it's important to understand the difference between these two. So GST is the utility token, unlimited supply. This is what users earn in their daily movement until they reach level 30. Once they're at level 30, then they can earn GMT. Okay, which is interesting. Okay, because that has a total supply. So the long term, you might want to think of adding some comfort to your sneakers, which increases how much GMT you earn, versus the GST, which is the here and now price of STEPN. So that's one thing to keep in mind. So GMT earning is not enabled yet, but basically it's going to be once you hit level 30. So they've made some different use cases for level 30 here. That's what I mentioned. And it's based on the comfort stat in your sneaker, and it's randomized. There's 4 stats for each sneaker. So basically, they've made some burning mechanisms, and some ideas for actually burning GMT, which can be, increasing GST, increasing the success rate of all gems, increasing the chances of getting 2 sneakers, like twins from sneaker minting, that sort of thing. And they brought up this, which I thought was pretty interesting, which is the Schadenfreude pools. First, Schadenfreude, I love the word, pleasure at someone else's misfortune, but basically they can pay GMT into such pools and they'll earn a return if, another player gets like low quality or their gem breaks when they're upgrading it or something like that. So that's just something to consider. And it brings that lottery effect that some people really like, where you just get money for doing nothing, which is kind of like the play to earn thing anyhow. So, so here's where it comes in. There's the buying pressure and selling pressure. So new players joining the game, okay, because it's, they're not letting everyone join with the activation code. And if you are looking for an activation code, read the description. I'll probably have some information or some links maybe you could check out that might help you, do that, get an activation code. And then you can choose the portfolio of your shoes. Some people will buy into this token just thinking that it's going to rise in the future, right? So some people just look at the actual charts. They're like, yes, like I'm not doing this play to earn thing, but this looks like, it's trending. Looks like it's going in the right direction. I'm going to buy it. And they might have a short-term vision, right? They might want to just double their money, make a profit. Everyone plays the investing game a little bit differently. They could be, going into the hype and seeing that. So they could be short-term swing traders or genuine believers of the project. Cashing out, so that happens when people have upgraded maybe their STEPN shoes and they're done. They've got the shoe, and also profit taking. People will have different points where they want to take profits, right? You might come in and buy this coin and be like, yeah, I'm going to sell it at $3, and someone else might, have bought at significantly less, and they might be happy selling here. So there's always going to be different levels. Okay, so I talked recently about how it's been explosive price increase from about $4 to $5 to $9, and that was because of the Coinbase Coinbase listing, but the thing about STEPN is they do care about this, and they're going to be doing things to maintain a balance here. And that's what all these projects will do, right? So there is the play to earn game, and there is the unilateral God vision of the leaders of the project that can basically just change things, right? And make something different. So double earning events, they could put in, that sort of thing. They could do any of these different things. Another idea that they put forward here is dynamic minting, which would bring some balance to it. So rather than it being a straight GST, like let's say 30 GST for minting or whatever the case may be, it would fluctuate based on what the actual price is in USD, right? So it would take into account the value of that and adjust what is needed to mint a shoe, right? So the other side of these play to earn games is you can decide that it makes sense for you to breed or mint, and then they do an update and they change things and it becomes not exactly what you would want for it. But basically they're going to be taking over this and focusing on what will be the long-term benefit, right, of both new users and old users and people that are actually using the game, as well as investors, right? And I think they're going to prioritize people that are actually using the token. So basically, they're at the top of the market here in terms of, or I shouldn't say that, they're the leaders in this move to earn, right? If there was one company in move to earn that is leading, I would say it's STEPN. And I'm going to do another video on this because there's some other competitors. We'll get into that a little bit later. But this talks about, this is another article on their Medium about Ponzi. And basically what a Ponzi is, if you're not familiar with it, because it does have a specific meaning, it's when people are being paid out from new investment money, right? So the new investors come in, they think there's actually a return, but really they're just robbing from Peter to pay Paul. So it pays existing investors with funds collected from new investors, right? So there's no value added, right? So this is different because there is the open market, right? And they have to deal with the open market. And if the open market senses suspicion, then things can come crashing down. Look what happened with Terra Luna just recently. So it is interesting to look in. And the two things that you need to think about, particularly if you are getting into play to earn, are supply and demand. Like those are basically what drives the price, right? Is supply and demand, right? If there is oversupply, it's going to lead to increased demand and the price is going to fall, okay? So one of the things with the activation codes is it creates demand, right? And so they're doing a really good job with that. So that's one thing to keep in mind. But overall, if you look at what STEPN is doing and the amount of money that you can make just from walking for 10 minutes a day, it's pretty significant. And it's something that I think has that longevity. The other thing that I wanted to point out is so far the floor price of the sneakers has remained in that range of 11, 12 Solana tokens. So even as the market has gone through a crash, there's been stability there. And so I think that that's one of the most important things to think about, is that these guys understand how to create something that's stable in an unstable economy, okay? Because crypto is always going to be volatile. Things can always change. But the way I think of it is like this, right? I could have Solana just sitting there staking and earning like, 5-6%. But what I wanted to do was take my Solana, and I thought this would be a better way to grow it, and at the same time drive in some new habits of walking or running every day and adding that to the mix. And I think that when you look at the cost breakdown of where this is going, right? So let's say it costs $600 to break even. And this is an important thing to keep in mind. Even at these prices, okay, I'll go back to GST because that's what you earn up until level 30. So GST, so even if your GST, I'll just put 34.01, okay. Okay, where's my number here? Where's my number here? 34.01. So $98, right? So if Solana as a token is $60, let's say, and let's just call it, 10 Solana tokens, so $600. So you can see I've been making this, or pretty close to it, in about a week. So when you extrapolate that over the course of a little bit longer, particularly if it's something that you've got to pay attention to, and you have to pay attention to stuff with crypto, you can see that this is a great project, right? So if you're interested in STEPN, I've got some other videos you should be seeing on the screen here. Also, make sure to check out the description. I'm going to have some information and links to other resources that are going to help you be able to get started, get yourself into this game, get yourself an activation, learn how to buy the right sneakers, that sort of thing. So do check the link in the description. And if you like this video, if you learned something from it, drop a comment or a like. It's all good. And other than that, I'll see you in the next video. Check out those other videos right now.